in this segment here, I want to talk some of the top mobile tech for you over the past 10 years. It's 2020 now. From 2010 to 2020, what are some of the highlights for you? I'm going to start.
Oh, man.
Okay, you go.
Palm Pre.
Palm Pre.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Palm.
Yep.
Put a lot of
Palm Pilot.
Yep. Yeah. They put a lot into, saving the company by coming out with Palm Pre, if you remember. And it was a cool little phone, little flip up, little keyboard.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool operating system.
Yes.
Yeah. Which actually survived its way past the actual phone itself, made its way into a few TVs and things like that.
WebOS.
WebOS, yeah.
It was ahead of its time. And you know what? A lot of the gestures you use there are now used in iOS.
Yep.
Which is kind of interesting. So that's your one of them anyway.
Yeah.
For me, the iPhone 4 is one of those out there. I think that's when the iPhone really came into its own. It was a radical new design, kind of a glass front and a glass back, and it was just amazing. Do you remember they actually lost one of them?
In a bar?
An employee,
Yeah,
an
that's
Apple
right.
employee lost one of these. They had it disguised as an iPhone 3, and this guy forgot it at the bar, and a reporter found it, or was given to a reporter eventually. And I think this guy lost his job.
I think so.
Yeah, he ended up at the bottom of the bay, San Francisco Bay. Another one that I thought was important to talk about, the Pebble Watch. Do you
Yes.
remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I had one.
Did you?
Yeah.
And so this was probably one of the first, I guess, I mean, there were smartwatches coming out, but this was the first kind of one that captured my imagination.
I had a lot of air quote smartwatches prior to that. Do you remember MSN Spot?
Yes. Can explain that one.
So Microsoft had a watch system that would actually use the FM radio waves to transmit news and data to your watch. It was a really cool
That's
idea.
ingenious.
Yeah, and it was very cool. And they had a couple different iterations of it, but it never quite took off. It was always a little clunky, especially if you were in Canada. It seemed to work much better in the US. But the Pebble for me was really cool because it was the first device that had an e-ink display. And so
Like an e-reader.
an e-reader.
Yep.
So it actually had ridiculously good battery life. You could do a lot with it. But the thing I liked the most about it is you could actually customize your watch face, which was the first time you could really do that by actually like going in and drawing your own thing or downloading from hundreds of other people's designs as well, which I thought was really cool because it really let you personalize what's on your wrist.
Was this one of the first kind of big Kickstarter ones?
Yeah, it
as well?
was. Yeah. I had the Kickstarter edition. It was $99.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But eventually it died.
Yeah. They tried a couple different iterations of it and then it just kind of went sideways for them because
Okay.
it got killed by the Apple Watch.
Well, that's on my list as well.
Yeah.
The Apple Watch basically came out. It had a lot of critics when it first launched. A lot of people were down on it, made fun of it. But it is now one of the biggest, when I say this, I mean all watches, digital or not, it's one of the biggest selling watches in the world.
I would agree.
They have wiped out everything in their path. Like, I can't think of really many others that can compete on the scale of the Apple Watch.
No.
I didn't think I was going to want one, but I don't know if you remember when they launched it, they actually had a come and try it event in the Apple stores.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want it. But my friend, I got an extra spot for this come try it event. You should come. Okay, I'll come. I don't want it. I put it on my wrist. Oh my God, I want it.
Yeah.
You were weak.
I was.
I know, but they sent me one, and I hadn't worn. And it's funny because my dad, he is a classically trained Danish watchmaker, and you'd think like I could get any watch I want.
Yeah.
And I hadn't worn a watch for like 20 years because I just didn't want anything on my wrist. So when the watch came out, of course I have to try it because I'm a tech guy. And at first, I hated it. I hated having that thing on my wrist. But I swear within 2 months, I couldn't live without it anymore.
It's funny that no one else has really been able to sort of even get close. You know, Samsung's still there with the gear.
Yeah, I mean, arguably Fitbit for other things.
Yeah.
I mean, if people are wearing something on their wrist, it's either a Fitbit
True.
or an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
So that brings up my next one on the list. Fitbit would be up there for me as one of the top gadgets of the decade. But will they be around in the next 10 years? The only reason they might be is because Google has purchased them, but it looks like they were having a rough go of it against Apple
Yeah, it's hard. I mean,
and others, like and all the other Android competitors.
well, because they're also the original Fitbit was really single purpose, right? So you wore it for your exercise component. Now a lot of these technologies are coming together. You've got health, you've got fitness, you've got every other app that can be loaded on a smartwatch or some other smart device that you wear.
Yeah, so I think the competition was huge. If you're an Apple guy or gal, you're probably going to go Apple Watch.
Yeah.
If you're not, there's a lot of competition in that space. You're up against Samsung and Huawei and many, many others that are doing it in some cases better or cheaper.
Are we talking gadgets now? We sort of moved out of phones, hey?
Well, no, this is mobile. We're talking mobile
okay.
tech right now.
Kind of wearable-ish.
Wearable. Okay.
Wearable-ish
Okay. All right.
and mobile.
I mean, arguably mobile is wearable because you always have it in your pocket.
Exactly.
Another one for me, the iPhone 10 and face recognition. I think iPhone 10 really put the full screen bezel-less smartphone front and center, and then with the 3D facial scanner camera on it as well, which works incredibly well. I think that took smartphone and biometrics to another level.
That's a fair assumption, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if we're at that stage of the decade, so to speak, I think that throwing out is a bit of kudos to Huawei as well.
Huge. They, to me, literally came out of nowhere in the past few years. They've obviously been around for decades, but in the mobile space, they are one of the top smartphone manufacturers in the world now. And here in Canada, you really didn't know about them 3 years ago.
No, and you think about like the quality of the device, the price point of the device, I mean, it's quite unfortunate that they're up against all the political issues, but politics aside, the technology is amazing.
I
think it's important that we have the Huaweis of the world out there.
We definitely need competition to keep Apple on their game for one thing. And Samsung. But it's just good for everybody to have choices too. I mean, we've talked about this before on the show. It's great that, Huawei has a watch that's different than the Samsung watch.
Yeah.
Right. And it gives people choices and gives people options, regardless of what platform they choose to live on their smartphone.
Yeah, I believe it was the Mate 20 launch I went to, Huawei. It was in London. And after a while, you get jaded with all these smartphone launches because it's all the same stuff. This was one of the first one in years that I got truly excited about because I didn't know what to expect. It was Huawei. It wasn't a name I was like overly familiar with. And bam, this launch, they came out with a new smartphone, had a 3D scanner built into it. It had a fingerprint scanner right into the screen, which was amazing, and wireless charging. You could use the back of the phone to charge other wireless devices, which were all super innovative things that I just thought, wow, I have not seen that many advances in the mobile space in a long time.